Alright, what's up, y'all? Hope you guys are having a good day so far. So, today's not really going to be related to sort of a daily life type thing. More so, I want to discuss something that just, popped in my head, actually, literally right before recording this video. Like I've mentioned before, I record 3 videos, and then I get them all ready to set out. I schedule them, I make them, all that good stuff, right? I do all of that. Well, one of the things that I wanted to discuss on that matter is, I made my videos. I realized that I did it in the wrong order. I meant to do the musical clickbait video that came out on Monday, which I'll have somewhere on the screen on the top right or whatever. That video was supposed to be over Baldur's Gate playthrough, but it didn't end up happening. So I made that video. The video I made for Friday I made, and then I'm like, oh, I'm missing the topic. So it took me a second, and then I thought about it. I'm like, well, what's a good topic when I watch Baldur's Gate? Well, then I realized, why not just talk about Baldur's Gate? Talk about something that, frankly, isn't too common. And I wanted to discuss very specifically Baldur's Gate versus D&D. Because they're very different things, okay? And that can be confusing sometimes, because I recommend people who are interested in D&D and like video games to play Baldur's Gate, and I recommend people who like Baldur's Gate to think about D&D, playing it. Well, I want to be clear about that sort of thing, because Baldur's Gate and D&D are very different in terms of some of the mechanics of the game and whatever. Now, what you're watching right now, what I'm playing through is the 2024 edition. So the most recent edition that came out, D&D 5.5 or 24E or 25E, whatever they're calling it. So this does have the most recent update. So action economy, for instance, those are like the green circle and orange triangle. All of that's correct for the most part. The people who modded it actually made it pretty well, but I wanted to discuss something a little bit different that people don't really understand between the two. So in Baldur's Gate, it's a game, right? You're trying to win. So you're going through the story, you are trying to pass checks, you're trying to win combats, like the one that my friend and I were really struggling in for some reason. We just basically rolled terribly and were not hidden very well, and we took a very complicated fight that we shouldn't have tried to take, and it happens, but it's okay. And this is honor mode, so we increased all the boss healths and all that, so we made it a little bit more challenging for ourselves, and there's only 2 of us, but it's okay. But you try to win, right? I mean, like, your whole goal is to win in these games, right? And so in Baldur's Gate, when you do these sort of things, right, and you think through how exactly this changes, in D&D, it's story focused, it's roleplay focused, it's character building, right? So it makes a very big difference rather than in BG3. In BG3, you're building your characters to win. You're making them powerful so they can do the most damage to your enemies, so that you can win the combat, so that you can move forward in the story progression and, in a sense, beat the game, right? That's very different than in how D&D works, right? In D&D, sure, you want to be powerful, right? I mean, it's not like you want to multi-class every class in the game in Dungeons and Dragons, because it seems characterly accurate. Like, that's not, no. You still want to be powerful, yes, but you don't want to just focus your character on min-maxing and have no have no story, right? For instance, in a character that I played who recently just died in our campaign, he did a lot. He very powerful character. He was a level 6 paladin, very, very powerful. But he there was a point where he was between paladin and cleric, and the level ups were based off of how the story progressed. So if my character was getting more along with the goddess who helped him, then he would take a level in cleric and he would worship the goddess more. However, if it was not going his way, right, then he would take a level of paladin. He was an Oath of Vengeance paladin. So if he was more upset with the goddess or wanted to do whatever it is, he would take a level in paladin. And that's how that worked. Is it literally came down to going between the two, making differences between, you know, you know, is the character more important than the PvP or the PvE, right? Than the combat. And that is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest separation between Baldur's Gate and Dungeons and Dragons is in D&D, you're making a character, you're building a story, you're progressing a storyline. And though you want to make progression by having a good leveling character or by working through it, and you want to make sure you still do damage and still help your party when combats arise, you still want to have a good sense of story, right? And if that means that maybe you don't take the best idea for combat, that's okay, right? So excuse me, had to take a little sneeze there, but that's a big deal, right? Is that it's not always about the combat. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is people who have maybe only ever played Baldur's Gate but want to play D&D, right? Is they'll make their character incredibly powerful, but they have no story now. Right, there's no reasoning. They just like, oh well, I built 4 rogue, 6 monk, and 2 fighter, just so that I can get action surge with another action. I can attack on all my bonus actions, and my rogue gives me the ability to attack multiple times because I have multiple bonus actions. That's a very powerful build in Baldur's Gate. But where's the story? Why would your character have 2 levels of fighter? What makes him a fighter? What makes them a fighter? 4 rogue and 3 monk, right? Why is your character a thief or a sneaky individual or a, mischievous person, but also takes a vow of, peace and love and harmony? Now, there are different subclasses that can change, but why? Right? What's the reasoning in your story? That is the biggest thing that people don't realize between Baldur's Gate and between D&D. And one of the things that I want to make clear for people is when you are in these situations, right, don't freak out. I mean, don't compare the two in terms of combats, because it is very different, right? And you can't really compare the two, because in D&D, you're a story. In Baldur's Gate, it's a game. It's a combat. You want to finish the game. And that is one of the most common things I've realized between a Baldur's Gate player who's never played D&D but is now interested, and between a D&D player who's interested in Baldur's Gate but has only ever played D&D but maybe never played a video game or many combative video games. Is because on the flip side, you have a D&D character. It's like, oh, well, for my story, I want to have, a few levels of Bard, a few levels of Paladin, and, a level of Rogue. Well, okay, there's some... That can work, right? But if you just go with a basic Swords Bard Paladin build in Baldur's Gate, you're going to be powerful. By taking that Rogue, you're going more levels on Paladin than you do in Bard, then you're sacrificing spell slots, you're sacrificing divine smites, you're sacrificing your capabilities to win a combat, which is very important in Baldur's Gate. So, it's just something I want to bring to y'all's attention. because it is very different. It's very unique in how this sort of thing works. Because not many people really realize how different the two games can be. But it is something that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention and mention, because I figured I've done a few videos on Baldur's Gate now. I kind of want to discuss what makes this game so different, so unique. And this is one of those reasons, right? This is one of the things I wanted to mention. And so that's that. This video probably will go over by a few minutes, because I do want this combat to finish. Just because I don't want to make this combat 3 parts, because this combat only lasts another probably minute or so. Another couple minutes. So it's going to be a little bit longer than usual, but that's okay. But at the end of this, like I said, guys, I realize that I have mentioned in the past, I've done a lot of these Baldur's Gate videos, but I've never really discussed what makes that so unique, right? What makes the idea between Baldur's Gate and D&D so different, so unique. And I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention, because it is unique, it is different. And, I thought it'd be an interesting video. And like I said, I just came up with it right before then, and I was thinking, in fairness, it's actually a pretty good idea. I haven't actually really discussed why it's such a big deal, in a sense. And so, that is why I wanted to make this video, why I wanted to discuss it a little bit. And I don't want to say make it clear, that's not really the right wordage, but discuss further why this was something that I wanted to bring up, especially because my friend and I, we did go forward, we made more content, we continued forward with the playthrough, we did a little bit more, and I'm gonna be, like I said, I want to continue to do these videos on these Baldur's Gate series and just continue it through. One, because it makes good content, but also, I'm only sending them out like basically once a week. I'm trying to do these Baldur's Gate videos on Wednesdays going forward, and just sending those out. And so this way, you guys get to actually see that, you get to experience it, all that good jazz. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that. Hopefully you're enjoying this. I have realized, in analytics wise, the Baldur's Gate videos actually have the longest retention. I guess, you guys like to see the playthrough, but obviously it's a very different type of video. A lot of y'all who come and watch the Baldur's Gate videos come from a very different type of content. When the videos are recommended from other channels, y'all come from very different content than from, my other 2 videos a week, which are typically Minecraft related, very different types of content that this comes from. So, just wanted to go ahead and discuss a few things. This combat lasts a little bit longer. This is going to be the longest video I've ever released, because it's going to be approaching 15 minutes here. But the combat does end here in a second, as Warlock Grease is going to meet his demise. But I do want to go ahead and say thank y'all once again, from, whether you guys watch this video or all videos, whatever the case may be. I do want to say thank y'all very much for tuning in. It means a lot to me when you guys choose to watch these videos. Like I said, I'm doing this more just because it's fun. It's something I enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, y'all choose to watch these videos, and that does mean a lot to me. So thank you guys for that, truly. Otherwise, thank y'all very much, and I will see all of y'all in the next video. I do apologize for this one being long, but like I said, I wanted to get that combat finished. But until next time, y'all have a good one.